Okay, hello everybody. This is Steve Parente, and today our guest is Tim Farrell, who is an exceptional acoustic guitarist, or a guitarist, but I
Yeah.
think it's safe to say that he specializes in acoustic guitar. So, hello Tim, where are you coming
Hello there.
from?
I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in Wycombe, Pennsylvania.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay. What's the weather like in Pennsylvania today?
It's hot. It's 90 something and humid and it's July.
Wow. 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 Well, I just want to kind of kick this off by giving people who may not know who you are, probably a lot of people will, but for those who don't know who you are, I just wanted to bring up that the Digital Dream Door, which is a website that showed up online around 2019, and it's a website or company that focuses on media lists. And so it's a amalgamation of all kinds of lists, including music and movies, video games, books. And what's really amazing here is that they have Tim listed as one of one of the best acoustic guitarists, and not just in the United States, but in the world, and not uh, of just one genre, but several genres. And now it does have a little caveat. It says this list is intended for those musicians whose primary instrument throughout their careers has been or is now the acoustic guitar. It is based upon their individual originality, innovation, technique, and influence within the genre. It does not include pioneers of blues, jazz, classical, or Latin acoustic influenced genres such as flamenco, or those modern guitarists who have recorded or performed their music in occasional unplugged settings. But I can say that it does include guitarists like Michael Hedges, Leo Kottke, Norman Blake, uh, Merle Travis, and Doc Watson. So, from what I can tell, Tommy Emmanuel, who's I believe from Australia, but
Yes.
but it appears that this list has been focused on guitarists that have been performing probably for about the last 50 years. Some of them look like they were born about 100 years ago, a couple of them. So this is pretty impressive because that's quite a list of acoustic guitarists.
Oh, I
So,
appreciate it. Yeah.
and then Tim also has been written up in acoustic guitar magazines and other magazines. He's a teacher, he's a guitar teacher, he's a composer, he's a performer. I met him a couple of years ago at the LaConner Guitar Festival, which was a mind blowing experience for me. I can talk about that later.
Hmm.
Um, but instead of listening to me blab, I think I'm going to turn it over to you, Tim, and
Okay.
I'd like to find out more about your background and how you got started and just everything that you would like to talk about.
Oh, okay. Um, I got started like many musicians as a kid. Um, I wanted to play drums. And we had six kids in a three-bedroom ranch house, and my parents would have nothing to do with a set of drums.
Okay, I can see that.
So
Yeah.
my brother and I both, my brother's slightly older than me, started guitar lessons at the same time. I was 9, he was 10, I think. Um, and like typical kids, we took lessons. We did or didn't do, very much. And it went for a little while, and then my parents stopped us because we weren't progressing. Um, and then later on, when I was about 14, I met some other kids that were musicians, and we started jamming. So
Okay.
just kind of took off from there. We would jam on 3 chord songs for hours and hours and hours, and I just started learning that way.
Now,
And,
was this in high school then? You met these
probably started in middle school.
middle school. Okay.
Yeah, and then through high school. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
And I did not take lessons during that time. It was just all learning from each other. And then after high school, I went to music school at Bucks County Community College here in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I started out as a jazz guitar major, and really wasn't what I was looking for, and I became a classical guitar major.
Okay.
And that was where the right hand technique came from that I now use in all the fingerstyle playing. It just opened my eyes up to a whole different way to use the instrument. When you grow up playing rock music, you're either playing chords, you're playing rhythms, or you're playing solos, or you're playing riffs or whatever. You rarely play the melody.
Right.
Whereas with classical guitar, you learn to play the melody and incorporate the chords and the bass lines and everything together. And that evolved into the fingerstyle thing that I've been doing for years. I never
Okay.
really um, thought I was going to be a classical player, but the techniques and the approach to the instrument, are very, very similar to fingerstyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what what was it that made you decide to take guitar in college? I mean, did did you have an idea that you were going to make a living at playing guitar, or was this something that just happened?
No, I just always figured I was going to be making music.
Really? Okay.
I figured, when I was younger, I figured by the time I was about 20, I was going to be in some really cool progressive rock band, but
Oh,
but that didn't happen. But
yeah.
uh, yeah, I just never really figured I was going to be doing anything else. I mean,
Really?
I've had other jobs along the way, but
Yeah.
but never that was going to be a career path. You know.
Well, what influenced you during that time that made you think that way?
Musically, you mean, or
Yeah, musically.
professionally, or
Yeah.
what really interested me and really got me deep into music, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, was progressive rock.
Yeah.
And then when I went to school, like I said, I eventually became a classical guitar major. I also learned to play the piano. I had never played the piano, but that was my minor, was the piano. So I learned to play the piano, and again, that opened my ears up to compositional things,
Uh huh.
uh, where I could now do things that I could not have done before, and it also helped me to understand music theory much better because it's
Yeah.
literally laid out in front of you in black and white. And so I just kept progressing at that point and I did many different things along the way, many different kinds of gigs and styles, and you know, um, and just eventually evolved into what I'm doing now.
Well, what was one of your or a couple of your favorite progressive rock bands? Because I know a lot of those players were pretty technically skilled.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was introduced at a pretty young age. I had a friend who had an older brother that took us to see Pink Floyd.
Ah.
Bef- and this was at Princeton University in the theater there. It wasn't a big arena. It was before they were in arenas. And that was, to me, it was just eye opening that you could make that kind of experience in a theater.
Yeah.
It was a theater experience as much as it was a musical experience. And I also had a friend who had lived England for a couple of years and came back with a whole bunch of records, and I got exposed to the early Genesis stuff.
Yeah.
So I think
Uh,
those two were probably the most, influential. And um, then when Kansas came along, it was like, oh, okay, now we can not only be progressive, but we can rock out too.
yeah.
So those kind of things all, along the way,
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's obviously very different than what I do now. But if you really dig in, you can really hear some of those elements in the music.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. So you graduated from school.
I did not. I
Okay.
did not. I don't recommend anybody else not do it.
Okay.
But no, I got an offer to go on the road,
You did.
and,
Oh.
and I went on the road with a rock band, and um, then I never went back to school. I was 2.5 years in, and that that I just kept going from there. I didn't go back to school. So.
Would we know the name of this rock band now, or?
People in the Midwest would. The band was called Sky Dancer, which later became the name of one of my albums.
Wow. And so you did that for a couple of years?
Yeah, we did that for a while, and they were based in the Midwest, and we traveled all around, all around the country, and
Yeah.
it was great fun. It was good. It was a great experience. So.
Now you were probably playing electric guitar at that time, right? Or was
I
it
was.
acoustic?
I was. I was playing electric. I did play acoustic on some songs, but mainly electric. Yeah.
And
I have an old Gibson Firebird that I had a Rickenbacker and that kind of stuff. So
did you play rhythm, lead, or what was how
I
was
was
it?
we had two guitar players and I was probably more the lead guy. I mean, we played stuff together, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Interesting. All right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there'd be a few tunes along the way where we'd do an acoustic thing, and so mix it up. And I actually, now that I think about it, I actually played some keyboards too.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
when there was some of the material we were doing was requiring two keyboards, so I would the main guy, keyboard guy would be playing, and I would add stuff.
Jump over and fill that in.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go over and do that. Yeah, yeah,
Right on.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so you were like in your mid 20s at the time or something?
I was in my early 20s. Yeah,
Early
yeah,
20s. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so you toured the Midwest and around the country in this rock band for a couple
Mm-hmm.
years.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens?
The band dissolved, and I was stranded in Des Moines, Iowa, and found my way home, and just started working more locally. I live outside of Philadelphia. Started working more locally, and doing similar things, playing in rock bands, and um, playing even in like weddings and banquets and that kind of thing. Whatever gig was there.
Whatever you could do.
Yeah, yeah. And eventually I got back more of the acoustic thing and started doing like, restaurants and bars and stuff, doing the acoustic guitar solo guy,
Okay.
singing. And as that went along was when I started developing the material for the instrumental fingerstyle stuff that I'm known for.
Okay.
So I was already well in my 30s before I started putting all that stuff together,
Uh-huh.
and and then that just evolved, that took over more and more as time went on.
Okay. And so probably what your mid 30s you started developing the style of music that you're known for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And but you still stayed mainly local to Philadelphia.
I did it first, and I started releasing my own recordings at that time. And what really got me known and got me out into the rest of the world with the fingerstyle stuff was in '96. Narada Records put out a series called the Masters of the Acoustic Guitar, and the first one was fingerstyle guitar, and they put my stuff on there. And Narada was a big label at the time.
Uh huh.
You know, they were along, not quite as big as Windham Hill in that instrumental genre, but pretty big label. And so there was 10 guitar players from around the world on there, and trying to think of who was on there. Lawrence Juber was on there, Ed Gerhardt, Pat Kirtley, you know, different, you know, Muriel Anderson. So that got me known in many other places, and that's when I started to travel around again.
Okay. Yeah, that was like when the I guess the term new age came out. A lot of the guitarists that of that time, when, like you said, Wyndham Hill, you were on Narada, but yeah, that was
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
kind of a transition from
Yeah, Wyndham Hill had Michael
y-
Hedges and Alex DeGrassi and Will Atkinson.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
yeah. So it was kind of a parallel thing to that. You know,
right. Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
1996.
'96 is when that came out. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
And
then
were those pieces, were those tracks, were those your original songs?
actually they used my version of Little Martha, the Dwayne Owen piece,
Oh yeah.
to
Okay.
open up the series. That was the first track on in the series, and that's the one that gained the most attention.
Okay.
But it was nice because it was a fairly well known piece already, but I had did my own take on it. Um, but it wasn't known as a solo piece. You know, the Allman Brothers did it as a duo and a trio, and so I kind of mushed the parts together into a solo piece. So then suddenly people are looking at it in a different light. So
Right.
it was pretty cool. It was good.
Yeah. That's great.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then you also, I notice you've written some scores for movies, and you've been involved with, various shows as a recording artist. And I don't know, have you been like a session musician with other folks too?
Yeah. Not like it's not been my main thing, but yeah, I get called in to do various things. Yeah,
Uh
yeah,
huh.
yeah. I'm
Okay.
not one of those guys that's always in the studio or anything.
Right.
But yeah, when somebody generally it's when somebody wants what I do at this
Right.
point. Years ago, it was like, oh, could somebody throw a guitar part on here or something.
Yeah.
You know.
But mainly you're performing now
Yeah, performing and yeah.
and making records. You've got quite a few.
Yeah, and I have a bunch of material I need to make a new recording soon. I haven't been able to get in there and get it done yet, but
I guess I shouldn't say records. They're recordings nowadays.
well, there were CDs and cassettes. I actually never actually pressed records. I was beyond things were beyond that. Although it's come back, right? Vinyl's come back,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's CDs, and that's one of the conundrums right now is spending the time and money to make a recording, and then people aren't buying CDs. People are streaming, and the royalty rate on for streaming is just horrible. So
Yeah.
you're just like, oh man, I got to spend this money to make this recording, and what's going to take me 10 years to get it back.
Yeah.
But
And you're on several streaming services though.
yeah, I'm on all of them. Yeah, all the ones that are.
Spotify, Apple.
Yep. Yes. Pandora. All
Okay.
those. Hmm.
Yeah. So, do you have merch when you're playing? Do you have, like I know
I
a lot
do.
of art.
I do. Yeah. Well, the merch used to mainly be the CDs. Now there may be one or two that people buy, but I have T-shirts. That
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of them. I don't have bottle openers or that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Right. Right. We know a few that just go overboard with all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
uh,
tough enough as a solo guy to be carrying my musical stuff around, and let alone bring around a whole bunch of merchandise. So.
well, in the show notes, this will be going up on YouTube. I'll put your website address
Sure,
and
great.
any other
Yeah.
links. I think you're on Facebook,
Yes,
and
Facebook, Instagram.
we'll
Yeah.
put those links up for people
Okay,
to,
excellent.
because you also teach guitar,
I do.
correct?
I do. Yeah, yeah.
And how's that going?
It's okay. It's okay. I teach right here in this room.
Hmm.
I teach all online at this point. I have all adult students. I don't have any kids or beginners anymore. I did for many years I taught in a conservatory, so I had people of all different ages and levels and everything. But I
Yeah.
stopped that a few years ago, and it's just my private students now, so,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
good. Works out good. Yeah.
All right.
We do it like this. We do it like you and I are doing it.
Right. Right. Well, well, and that's great because that allows people to, do it on their schedule and your schedule, and then they don't have to
Hmm.
travel all over the
Yeah,
place. And
yeah, yeah. And people are all spread around. I can teach somebody in New Orleans, and then an hour later, somebody right here in Pennsylvania or something.
right.
So, you know,
Excellent.
works great. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I met you at the LaConner Guitar Festival,
Yes.
and which kind of for me was like a really a new experience in my musical journey. That was the first time I'd been to a guitar festival, and what was amazing about that was that there were just all of these amazing craftspeople, men and women, building these acoustic guitars that I would call functional art.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I just didn't know that was a thing.
yeah, yeah. I always tell these these wonderful luthiers, they create art that makes art.
Right,
You know?
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I just didn't realize that this was something that was ongoing. And I remember when you and I spoke, you had said you'd been involved with several of these shows or these.
Oh yeah, I do them all the time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How long has that been going on?
The guitar shows, as far as I know, the first one would have been the Healdsburg show, which would have been probably, I'm guessing, late 80s or early 90s. I didn't start going to Healdsburg till later, but the first one of these guitar shows, the guitar festivals that I did, was the Newport Guitar Festival. Was held in conjunction with the Newport Folk Festival,
Okay.
in a different location, but right in Newport, which is going on now, I believe.
Okay.
Um, and that was when I started to do it. So my function when I go to these guitar shows, guitar festivals, is I play the guitars that are built by these luthiers that are showing their work,
Uh-huh.
so that the public can get to hear, their instruments. I also do workshops when I go there, and then I do usually do a regular concert performance along the way too. You know,
Yeah. You
so
get
that's how I've gotten to know you know, all these different guitar builders, these luthiers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you must love getting to play these amazing instruments.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And getting to know the people too. I mean, they're all very very creative, very cool people. It's really good to and to learn all that. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's fun for me to just go. A lot of people say, "How can you play all these different guitars you're not familiar with?" I said, "That's part of the fun, is
Right. Yeah.
getting familiar with them, and quickly." So, for instance, I'm going to the Wakefield Guitar Festival in a couple of weeks,
Okay.
which is in Western Quebec in Canada,
Okay.
and um, they have me set up. I'd have to count, but at least 8 or 9 different luthiers I'll play for. So
Uh,
and I will meet the guitar, that day or the day before or whatever, and and just pick out music that I think will sound good on it, that'll showcase the instrument,
huh.
and then go for it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, like at the Laconer Festival, there were guitarists from Canada, the Pacific Northwest. There
Hmm.
was there was a luthier from Italy. They're
Yep.
they're just
Yep.
all over.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
And
actually
it'll,
saw
it'll be the same thing at all of them.
at all.
At all the
Yeah,
big ones, anyway.
yeah,
Yeah, there are some local ones, but all the
yeah.
big ones. So I'll go in September. I'll go to the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival,
Uh huh.
which that'll have also builders from all over the place, and then I'll go down to Texas for the Big Five, I think he calls it this year.
Uh huh.
Again, we'll have luthiers from all over, you know. So yeah, it's great fun to, you know,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. And I remember, before I even knew who you were, I
Mhm.
saw you demonstrate. It was an electric. It was an unusual couple of electric guitars, and
Oh yeah, yeah, those Matt's guitars. Yeah, they talk about works of art. His
y-
guitars were sculptural electric guitars.
yeah,
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 yeah. All these little chambers and stuff. They're real cool stuff. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was probably one of the very few times that at any of these guitar festivals that I played electrics.
Uh huh.
Because most of the time they're acoustics.
Acoustic.
But obviously, when I go to the Archtop Festival, there will be electrics there too. So
Uh huh.
you know, but yeah, that was great fun. And if I remember correctly, that was in 2023, right? I also played ukuleles, various different guitars. Yeah, all kinds of different ones. Yeah,
Wow. Amazing. Just
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Because yeah. Um, Speaking of guitars, what is your favorite guitars, or what guitars are you playing right now?
Well, I always when people ask me what's my favorite guitar, I always say whichever one's yeah, whichever one I'm playing at the moment.
Okay. Nice.
I um, I have you can see some of them here. I have this one was built by Paul Wilson, in who you also met at that dinner that night.
Yeah.
Actually, both of these were built by Paul Wilson.
Uh huh.
This one was built by Bill Mitchell in Pennsylvania. This one was built by Leo Buendia in California.
Okay.
I have an ukulele over there that was built by Ken Franklin in Ukiah, California.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. And I have some other ones that are still in the cases. I have an Oracle guitar, a Skytop guitar, and then normal stuff like Martins and.
Yeah. When
So,
you perform, do you bring multiple guitars, or do you stick with one, or how do you
it
perform?
it depends about how I'm traveling. If I'm driving and it's feasible for me to do it, I try to take like 4 of them with me.
Okay.
Uh, I do some concerts with another guy, Craig Thatcher, who is a representative for the Martin Guitar Company. So I come with 4 of mine, he comes with 4 of his, and we fill up the stage, and it's kind of cool.
Wow.
We just keep going from one to the. But if I'm traveling by air, one maybe two, you know, um, it just depends. Just depends upon that more than anything else. The traveling, you know.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't if it wasn't a traveling issue, I'd probably take a handful each time, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that way I use different tunings. That way the guitars are already tuned to different tunings, and I could just switch guitars and mixes up the sound a bit and everything too. Whereas if I just have one or two, then I have to change tunings in the middle of the set.
How many different tunings do you usually use when you're performing?
I don't use a lot like some other people. I use standard, of course. I use double drop D. I use open E. I use Siwahini, which I just used to call my C tuning, and then I found out it's one of the slack key tunings that the Hawaiian
Sure.
slack key guys use.
Yeah.
So that's what they call it. They call it Siwahini.
Right. Right.
So yeah, they're pretty much the ones that I use. Every once in a while, if I have to do something different, I'll try it. But
Yeah.
and I use a lot of partial capos, which I can make a lot of different tonal changes without having to make tuning changes.
Okay.
So
So
partial
partial capo would be like where you can change individual strings, or is it capoing off a few strings?
right, capo 2, 3 strings instead of all 6.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to have a capo, the third hand capo, where you could actually adjust it. You could change it to capo certain strings or not other, but that became a little impractical to travel with. So I actually have a set of 4 or 5 different capos that are all modified
Yeah.
to a different settings.
What's your favorite capo?
The ones I'm using now mostly are the G7 capos.
G7. Okay.
G7, yeah, they make a nice. Do I have them handy?
Yeah, you got one
They're
there?
around here somewhere. Here. They I use mostly the yoke style capo when
Uh-huh.
I'm doing a full capo.
Okay.
Mainly because a lot of people like the ones that you clip on real quick. I like these because it gives you even pressure when you put it on. And then they make these capos like this, and these are the ones that are modified. You can see I kind of cut it out and notched it out here,
Uh-huh.
and then the end is shorter here, and probably won't be able to see it.
Oh, I see. That's
looks a
way
little
a,
darker there.
a partial capo. Okay.
Yeah, notched it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
whereas the other one is that long. This one's only that long.
Okay.
Um, so this one only capos 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
Okay, it doesn't do 1, 2, or 6. So, and depending upon where it is on the fretboard as well, the fretboard gets wider as you go up. I'll have some other ones that have a little different spacing here. So,
Oh,
yeah, and it gives me it gives me different tonalities that I couldn't get any other way.
sure.
Um,
Interesting. Very interesting.
and it's kind of fun. You have to kind of relearn where the notes are.
Right. And G7 is the manufacturer.
Yes, G7 is the manufacturer. Yep,
Okay.
they're from England.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you play, do you use picks or is it all fingers?
All fingers.
Okay.
I have organic homegrown picks.
So no fake nails or
Yeah, just natural nails. Yeah, just
Uh,
using that. I keep them short compared to other bigger style people.
okay.
It's more of a classical thing. So I get a little bit of flesh and a little bit of nail with each attack.
Okay.
And
So you're doing all your EQ with your fingers.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, my fingers on my hand position,
Yeah.
because where your hand position goes changes the tone. Where you are on the strings or the angle of your hand changes the tone. So
On the guitar. Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
So
Well, not to put you on the spot, but can we hear something maybe here?
sure.
Okay.
Anything in particular? Do we
Whatever you want.
start with standard tuning, since that's what most people know?
Okay. I think people will be really interested in this.
Yeah.
What guitar is this?
This was built by Leo Buendia.
Buendia.
Buendia. Buendia.
Okay.
and he's in Oakland, California.
Oakland, California. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, he moved. He's in Berkeley, California.
Okay.
This was built when he was still in Oakland. So,
All right.
And another thing that I use when I'm sitting, I don't know if you saw what I just put on there. It's called a neck up.
Uh-huh.
And what it does is it props that on my leg, like this.
Ah.
The guitar's not sitting like that. The guitar's sitting like this, like a more of a classical position, and more like if you were standing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
Without that, the guitar would be like this.
Yeah.
You know. So here we're like this. You know what else I can do while we're doing this?
Okay.
I can do that. I can give us a little more light.
Ah.
And I can turn this. Okay. You hear that okay?
Yeah.
Um,
Bravo. Bravo.
Kind of
Beautiful.
a condensed version of Walk Away Renee and Over Your Shoulder, two songs.
Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, we'll I'm hoping that this audio turns out well with Zoom. We've got about the highest setting we can go, but I think it'll give people a really good idea of just like how you play. So nice.
Yeah. Let's, so this is an OM, which stands for orchestra model. That's basic size and shape. Most of my guitars are about that size at this point.
Uh-huh.
I do have some larger ones, some dreadnoughts, Santa Cruz. And this one is rosewood body and a spruce top.
Okay.
So let's go to a totally different extreme.
Okay.
And this one is this was built by Paul Wilson in Madison, Wisconsin. This is a guitar with a really cool backstory. It the top is redwood that was reclaimed from a railroad tunnel. Was the support beams for a railroad tunnel in Oregon.
Oh wow.
And it's called Tunnel 13 Redwood because of that. And then the back and sides are black walnut from a tree that fell in Paul's neighbor's yard in Madison, Wisconsin. So it's all reclaimed woods in there, and it's a really unique combination of woods too. The rosewood and the redwood and the walnut. So, but it gives it a. Now this one's tuned down to that C Wahine we were talking about.
Okay.
that real rich low end that this one has. You know?
Warmer tone,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Rich. Yeah.
And then tuning it down. So the C.Y. tuning is the first four strings are standard: E, B, G, and D. The fifth string is tuned down to a G, and the sixth string is tuned down to a C.
Okay.
So hence that real deep thing there.
Wow.
Very different.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, yeah, that's very cool. Very different.
And very different sounding. Yeah. Is that
Yeah.
is the side hole so that you can hear the guitar better? What's the
Oh, this hole here?
yeah.
Yes, that's called the player's port.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is. It's to say it's pointing right up at me, so that some of the sound is coming up at me.
And then you've got an armrest. Is that so
I
that
do.
it there's less of your arm on the guitar, which might deaden the sound?
Right, exactly. It's for that purpose, and because it's rounded, it's not squared off like these edges are. It's a little softer.
Feels better.
Yeah, yeah,
More
yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah, I started using these. John Pierce makes an add-on stick-on one, and I started using them years ago because I was wearing off the finish on the edge,
Uh-huh.
and as I was wearing it off, it was irritating my arm. It was a combination of and then when I found those, I started using those, and then when Paul built this, this one and the other one he built, I asked him to do the armrest built in, and it's beautifully integrated in there. You can
Yeah.
he's got it really nicely built into there. You can barely tell it's there.
It flows right in with the design.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other guitars that don't have that, I actually have a little leather armrest that sticks on with suction cups and sits on here, and yeah. So it's just a little extra, But exactly what you said, it keeps my arm from touching the top, because when you do dampen the sound a bit.
Sure.
So, that's a little more extreme, but you get the idea.
Right. The top is where the sound vibrates and
Right.
and yeah, and when you dampen that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what a beautiful
He's,
design.
Yeah, oh, it's gorgeous. Paul's designs are incredible. His workmanship is beautiful. You probably saw at the Connor show that you're at, the one that he called the Scotsman. It had a plaid inlay all across.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I was blown away. It's like
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. Like I said, it was functional art that I was seeing.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And you probably saw this one there, because
I did. I'm pretty sure I did.
We unveiled it at that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess two of these guitars have the sound port. Not all of them. My ukulele has one too. It has a sound port on it.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference for you when you're performing, huh?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. And some people will tell you that it actually helps the overall sound of the guitar. Scientifically, I don't know that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's amazing that I'm assuming that these guitars you're playing them and it's being picked up by whatever you're using for Zoom here, but the sound is very full. I mean, you don't have this, plugged in anything, right? This is
No,
coming.
no, just the microphone you see here. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's just a AKG 214 and
yeah.
right into the computer. Well, into the interface. Yeah,
What a beautiful sound.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and they do all. I can't plug them all. They all have K and K pickups in, so I can't plug them in on stage. But for this,
Yeah. What type of
just
pickups do you use?
K and K.
K and K.
Yeah, they're in Oregon.
Is
And
that
what they
a
are, they're attached to the underside of the bridge.
uh
You,
huh?
you can't see them. They're attached and they're contact mics, and then the wires come out here. You know, and they're totally passive.
So
So
piezo style?
no, they're not a piezo.
Okay.
They would have to explain to you
Okay.
what they actually are.
Okay.
But they're contact mics. They have a different name for it. I'm not sure technically what they call it.
Okay.
But
Well.
there's nothing under the saddle like a piezo would have.
Okay.
The underside of this piece of wood.
So whoever's listening, if they want to find out more about that, K and K mix.
K and K pickups, yeah, in Oregon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So they're, like I said, they're totally passive. There's no batteries or anything in here, and you know, when you're playing on stage, so I use a preamp
Okay.
for them when I'm on stage because I can just control things a little better.
What type of preamp do you use?
It's a D-tar, which unfortunately is no longer around. It's Duncan Turner Acoustic Research. It was a Seymour Duncan, the pickup company, and Rick Turner was their combined efforts, and really nice preamps.
And then are you going through a acoustic amp, or are you going into the PA system?
Generally, I go right in the PA system. Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm playing something small where I can just use an amp, I will.
Uh huh. What do you
But
use for that?
I have ultrasound amps. I was an ultrasound endorser for years. They're again no longer around,
No longer around.
but
Okay.
I've got 3 of them, so I continue to use them. So
All the guitar nerds are going to want to know all this.
right.
So I try to get those questions in.
Yeah, there are newer amps. Like I said, you can't get the ultrasounds anymore.
Yeah.
But there are newer ones that have, Hendrickson makes some great amps. Humphrey, even Fishman makes a nice amp.
Yeah.
There's more options out there.
Right. Right. Wow. They just these guitars and your playing are just magnificent. Thank you
Oh,
for sharing that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all different. Like this one was built here in Pennsylvania by Bill Mitchell,
Uh huh.
and this one is Ziricote and a European spruce top.
Ah.
And again, it has a very different sound. This one's tuned to a double drop D, which just means I've taken the first string and sixth string instead of E. They're now D. The others
Okay.
are standard. So they all have their own tonalities and their own
Oh
personality.
yeah. This has it seems to me like it has more mids and highs.
Yes. Yeah, it's a little brighter. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different balance, yeah, than the other ones. Yeah.
It's amazing how different the sounds can be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're basically, like you said, like the same size. And
They're all basically OM size. Yeah. Yeah. That's the size that I've gravitated to. I used to use bigger guitars. I used to use dreadnoughts and jumbos and stuff
uh-huh.
for the bigger sound. But the guitar builders have gotten so good that these smaller size guitars just sound just as big. So.
And this luthier's from Pennsylvania, huh?
Yes, yeah. Bill Mitchell's he's in Hellertown, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's an instructor. He's a teacher at the. He teaches a guitar building course at the Northampton County College in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sponsored by Martin. Martin's in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, which is only 20 minutes or so from where Bill is. So, yeah, they have a great program there at the college. So, anybody that wants to go learn.
Oh,
that's the place to go. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All of them cutaways.
Yes, they are. They are now. I have a couple that aren't, but any of them that are built for me are cutaways. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get that upper range, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a couple Santa Cruz Martins. They're not cutaways. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, yep. Yeah. Good stuff.
So, what are you working on now? There was that story that the ladybug story the other day that I thought was really interesting. You were performing.
Yeah.
What song was it? What song was that you were performing? And
well,
that was the one where you tap a lot. And,
yes, I was using this guitar.
Uh-huh.
This is another one built by Paul Wilson. And this one also has the armrest, and this was Coca-Cola. Well, you can see my ring light over there.
Yeah, you're yeah. Shiny.
Yeah.
What did you say? Coca-Cola?
Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's Adirondack spruce top.
Okay.
But yeah, what happened was I was playing, and I didn't realize it, but I was told later that this ladybug crawled up my leg and eventually landed on the microphone in front of me. And I could see it just sitting there on the microphone. And then in the middle of one of the songs, it flew off the microphone and landed on my hand right in the middle of the song. And I went, look, you like this? And then eventually landed right here on the guitar and sat there for the last 3 songs of the set. And never moved the whole time. And in the last song, I play like this. I go, and I realized in the middle of that I was going to smash this poor little thing. And those pictures you saw me going like this when I realized that I can't do that. But the ladybug never moves through all that tapping and banging and Yeah. And then it wasn't until at the end of the show, and I took guitar off and set on the stand, that it finally flew away. So it was enjoying the music.
I would think if it didn't move, yeah.
Yeah.
And you just played around it.
Yeah. I just worked around it.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a funny story.
Yeah. And this one's tuned to open E.
Okay.
So it's tuned to an E major chord. So a lot of slide players use that tuning. So they. I have a slide here for me to illustrate.
Yeah. Was it Dwayne Allman used open E?
Yes. He and Derek Trucks plays in open E all the time.
Okay.
So yeah. So Dwayne would use it for slide. I think Joe Walsh uses it for slide. A lot of the blues players would use it.
Yeah.
Slide.
Well, it kind of makes sense because if you're an open E and you're standard, it's kind of, you kind of know where you're at,
Yeah. The middle strings are a little different, but yeah, you know basically where you are as far as the key goes and all that.
Yeah. Nice.
And the reason I started using the open E was we mentioned Little Martha earlier. That song is played in open E tuning, originally by Dwayne Allman, and on a dobro, which a lot of dobro players are playing slides, so he had it tuned to open E.
Sure.
So it has those tonalities that are nice and open like that in the opening.
Wow, rich sounding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that fan frets that you have
It
there?
is fan fret. Yes,
Okay.
yes, it is.
What does that do? That's for intonation?
Yes, what it does is that the bass strings are longer than the treble strings, to give you a little, maybe that little bit of extra crunch, or that's not the right word, a little extra oomph in
Okay.
the bottom end. So because they're longer, the spacing of the frets has to change. So they're a little wider on the bass end than they are on the treble end. This
Oh,
so there's an inch differential between the bass and the treble. Um, and then as you go up the neck, and they straighten out. Think I think it's the eighth fret that's straight, and then it goes this direction. So it fans this way and this way. You know,
oh,
um, so it's a nice innovation. A lot of people are using it.
uh-huh.
I like it for some things, and other things not as much. So just like all this other stuff.
Sure.
They all have their qualities. They all have their personalities and qualities and different musical things you can do with it.
Yeah, and you get to play all of them.
Yeah, 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 yeah. The other thing is unique, which you can't see with Paul's guitars. This one and the Redwood guitar is their what's called a double top. So the
Double
top
top.
double top, instead of being one piece,
Okay.
is two pieces of spruce, two very very thin pieces of spruce with a layer of Nomex in between. And
Okay.
Nomex is recycled cardboard made into a honeycomb, made into like a sheet of honeycomb, and then it's shaped to the guitar. So these two pieces of wood are glued to the honeycomb, the Nomex. And the reason for that is it makes the bracing on the inside, the need for the bracing, much less of the bracing, is very small. I can't really show you that very well.
Sure.
Um, so the bracing is very minimal, so that the top can resonate more. So the sustain is really long on it, and the overtones. So
Ah. So the Nomex, the double top with the Nomex, is just enough to stiffen the
right,
top, and
right.
and if you can pull or use less material in those bracing, then that should vibrate more.
Yes, yes, it
Okay.
vibrates much more.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah, yeah. And Nomex, actually, the material with the design, you can really hear how that just keeps going.
Yeah.
The Nomex itself was actually developed uh, for airplanes.
Yeah.
They layer the wings. Of course, they don't use cardboard in the middle. They probably use carbon fiber or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, they layer it that way, and it's much lighter, thinner, but the strength is there. You know?
Yeah, because I was really into airplanes at one time and even considered making one, and I remember the Nomex was
hmm
part of the construction.
hmm hmm
Huh.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, really kind of a cool thing. You usually see the double top in a classical guitar more than you see it in the steel string, because
Hmm.
that's where it started. Um, but it works. It works great. Both of these are double tops. This one is too.
Oh, that one is too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And they both have a lot of sustain.
Yes, yeah, yeah. A lot of sustain, a lot of overtones. And the way I play, I like the overtones to play with each other. The idea of using open strings as well as fretted strings just lets everything really kind of ring together. And this was really great for that.
Yeah. And then you can play with that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really great with the harmonics.
Wow, it just rings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So we don't need reverb. We just use that.
We just use it all in the construction of the guitar.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Thanks for
Sure.
sharing that and playing.
This one's not double. This one has the player's port as well.
Okay.
And this is my ukulele.
Well, that's got some punch to it too.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. When it comes to recording, this is actually louder than the guitar.
Yeah.
We have, dial everything back.
Cuts
So-
through, huh?
Presence. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Great tone though. Great sweet little tone too.
Yeah. And who made that?
Ken Franklin in Ukiah, California.
Okay.
Zero cote back inside, and spruce top. So,
Wow. Nice sounding.
yeah.
You know, in
Next
Hawaii,
time
I get. Go ahead.
I was gonna say next time I go to Hawaii, I got to get a koa one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, being in Hawaii, I get to see a lot of ukuleles, and that really sounds really nice. That's
Yeah, yeah, it's got a great tone.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not traditional woods, the koas and mango and stuff they use, but definitely has a great tone.
Yeah. Well, I recently listened to a podcast. Richard Hoover was on it and
Sure. Yeah.
talking about using different woods and how the standard way of thinking is changing.
Yes.
About that.
Yes. Yeah. I went on a wood searching mission with Richard.
Did you?
Several years ago, and they built one of the guitars with that wood. It was a cathedral here in Pennsylvania that was built 100 years ago, and there was wood that was left from there that had been sitting in a barn. And there was Brazilian rosewood, there was Indian rosewood, there was mahogany, there was teak, oak, and he ended up getting a bunch of the Brazilian and the mahogany from there, and they have built what they call the Vault series that they just released.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, the one guitar, the rosewood one, was some of that wood that he sourced. So,
Did you get a chance to play any?
I have not played it yet. No.
Okay.
No. I've only seen it in pictures. But that was what I did when I went with him. I was the photographer. So,
Oh, really? Okay. Nice.
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that was cool. That's cool. And Richard knows his stuff. He could tell by looking at it, feeling it, smelling it. He could tell what everything was.
Yeah. Boy, talk about an aged or a dried wood too, huh?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yep. All kinds of good stuff. So.
Okay. Well, we can finish up here. What are you working on now? I mean, what shows are you playing? This is your chance that you can talk about anything, promote
Okay.
anything.
Okay. Well, coming up in the next few months, as we talked about before, it's all festivals. I'll be doing the Wakefield Festival in Canada next month in August. I will be doing the Doylestown Arts Festival in September, which is not far from here. I will be doing the Rocky Mountain Arts Festival in Arvada, Colorado. And I will be doing the Big Five in San Antonio, Texas. So that's what's coming up the next couple of months.
Okay.
So, yeah, and hopefully sometime in the fall, I'll be able to start working on a new recording and get some of that stuff out there. So,
Okay.
a lot of new material that I've been building up. And I have a lot of arrangements that I do for the workshops that I do. I have arrangements of well-known songs, and I want to get some of those recorded too because I worked them up for the different reasons. I just haven't recorded them yet.
Okay.
So
And
yeah,
if okay, and if people want to get like, what's the best way for people to follow you? What's
go to my website. You can sign on to my mailing list. I put out a monthly newsletter,
okay?
and or Facebook, Instagram. You know, um, I'm not a heavy user of social media, but I try and keep people informed of what I'm doing.
Okay.
So um, just though I just put all the musical stuff. I don't put any personal stuff up on the social media.
Okay.
So um, those ways, those means, um, if you want direct contact, go to my website and like I said, sign on to my mailing list, and it's got my email address and everything in there. So
And they can find out about the guitar instruction too.
yes, yeah, it's all listed on there.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and anybody that's interested in that, yeah, that's like I said, I do it right here, and have this set up to do it.
Okay. Anything else that you want to talk about?
Well, off the top of my head,
Okay.
I was listening to the Yankees Phillies game before we started. I hope the Phillies win.
Of course, right?
Well, it's funny because I grew up as a Yankees fan. My family's from New York originally,
Okay.
but I became a Phillies fan. Living in Pennsylvania, and so I root for both teams unless they're playing each other.
Okay. You have to choose a side then.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right. Right. Oh, and we can. I guess we could tell the audience here that you and I ran into each other just per chance at the Hilo farmers market back.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, that same day after I saw you, one of the vendors was wearing a Philadelphia Phillies baseball hat,
Oh.
and I asked him, "Are you a Phillies fan?" Was it his son, who from Hilo had been signed to a minor league contract with the Phillies? So keep an eye on Steven.
Salty
Saltibon.
Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You ran into Donald. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Salty
Yeah.
Gear Lemonade.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
So we've been keeping track of Devon
Yeah. Nice.
So,
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out and
oh,
talking
my
to me.
pleasure. It's been fun.
All right. Okay. Well, like I said, folks, we'll have these links in the show notes, and I guess for today we'll say aloha.
Aloha and mahalo.
Yeah.